Hi everyone, I am the Sarcastic Sloth, and welcome to my channel. So, Shane Dawson, he's got himself in a bit of recently, hasn't he? Bloody hell, mate. It started off at the beginning of this particular week, where he'd released a statement addressing Dramageddon 2, what happened with Tati, what happened with James Charles, what happened with Jeffree Star, and it's not really been going right for him ever since. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at that. We're not going to be reading the thing out because, quite honestly, it'll be very boring for you, and it would be very boring for me. What I can do if you want it read out to you is I'll put up a card for Bruce Allen's channel where he reads the entire thing out, and you can have it read out to you in a nice, soothing manner. That's not really the least of it. The internet has been going wild this week for a myriad of different reasons, but it's turning out that basically Shane Dawson's chickens have come home to roost. Without further ado, let's crack on. First of all, I just wanted to say that it was a very tedious post to get through because it was a lot of, did I do this? Yes. Did I do that? No. Did I know this? Yes. Did I know that? No. And I just thought, oh god, you could tell that has been eating away at him. Maybe a lot of people were just on his case, and then eventually he just said, listen, I'm just going to put this out. I'm just going to go through the salient points, or at least what I feel are the salient points, and everything I do talk about is in fact my own opinion, so if you don't like it, ta-ra. What I thought was quite telling was that he absolved himself of any responsibility in regards to Dramageddon 2, apart from not being there enough for people when they needed him, which, listen, you know, did he orchestrate it? Did he not? Was it Jeffree Star? Was it not? We don't know. We won't know unless someone actually comes out and produces the receipts. But I did find it quite funny that it was just a case of, like, he's just trying to put himself over like he's some kind of cuddly bear. I was like, I just wasn't there enough for people. I feel like I could have given people extra hugs when they needed it in their time of need. Which on one hand you could say, well, it's because he's a friendly dude, but obviously throughout the course of what we're going to be talking about today in today's video, I don't think that is the case, quite honestly. A thing that I thought was pretty weird as well was that he states that he hates drama, and he doesn't like getting involved in drama, and it makes his skin crawl, or whatever the terminology was that he used. But you chose to do a documentary. Well, one, you're involved in YouTube. You're trying to tell me that YouTube isn't filled with its drama. It is drama. That's what perpetuates YouTube the vast majority of the time. Let's not lie. I mean, you do have people who create original content, and that is fantastic. Like, the vast majority of what people are going for is drama between creators, or creators reporting on drama between creators. It is what it is. But let's not pretend that the particular ilk of YouTube creators that he allies himself with, i.e. your Trisha Paytas, your Tana Mojo, and yeah, just, you know, all the rest. I'm not going to go through the list, but, you know, those two alone are just drama-ridden in themselves. I just find that quite a hard pill to swallow. And then you decide to do a documentary on the beauty industry, and you didn't think that that was going to... not just the beauty industry, Jeffree Star's perspective, and you didn't think that that would bring any kind of drama about to your doorstep. I can see how maybe if you're wanting us to believe that you're so naive that you just didn't know these things, but another thing that you brought up in your ridiculously excessive tweet, you follow beauty channels, and you have done for a long time, and you enjoy them, and that's something that you use to relax, and you like that whole aspect of things. So are you going to sit here and tell me you weren't aware that that was the case? It's just known. It's known, man. I mean, I don't work in it. It's just common knowledge. So I don't believe you're that naive, man. I really don't. Especially if you are hanging out with YouTube channels who in turn hang out with beauty channels. So therefore you're getting a lot of secondhand information in regards to that. So I don't believe that. Sorry, mate. But what I also thought was pretty wild was, out of all of the drama channels, you went for Jeffree Star. If that's the case because there was a pre-existing friendship there, well then again, you know, and then obviously for you to single out Jeffree Star as the main focus of your documentary, you then had to know his reputation. I find it a bit suspicious that you're trying to play out like you're some naive, cuddly teddy bear who has no idea about these things, but then we know that you research these things. We know that for you to make a documentary on this particular aspect of the beauty industry, you didn't just walk in there and go, do you mind if we do a documentary, mate? And he goes, yeah, no worries at all. Doesn't happen. Another aspect of his post that I thought was just flat out rude, if I'm being honest, was the fact that, like I said, he's saying that he's a fan of beauty channels and that he watched them previously to making the documentary himself, but he fully slags them off. Like, listen to this now. The beauty gurus who are all involved in scandals are all the same. They are all attention-seeking, game-playing, egocentric, narcissistic, vengeful, two-faced, ticking time bombs ready to explode, and I'm over it. What? That's crazy, man. Like, the fact that you're saying that you're such a fan of all of these people, and again, I just don't believe that you weren't aware that this could be a part of it. It's just not possible, man. It's not possible. And then not only that, like I said previously, you went to the source. You went direct to the sun. But here's the thing, right? If you were just going to be doing a documentary about how these things were made and how it's set up and all of these things, then you could have gone to anyone who's known to be non-problematic. But instead, you went to Jeffree Star. So are we to believe that it was in fact about the industry itself that you wanted, or was it the dirt, or was it... You wanted this, mate. You wanted it. If you're going to go swimming for the first time, you don't go swimming with sharks. Like, do you think we're mugs? Like, do you think we're actually mugs? And then what's also funny, yes, they are talented, creative, smart, and love makeup, but they also joined a side of the internet that are obsessed with looks, money, power, fame, screenshots, and subtweets. Now, I'm just going to address the first bit because everything else is pretty much redundant. You could have just covered that in the whole drama aspect of things, but obsessed with looks? Bro, do you know where you are? Like, just seriously. I don't even know how to register that. It's like, that's so basic. Oh, the beauty industry are obsessed with looks, are they? Wow. What a revelation. Obviously it is. You're just looking for excuses to do your runner, is what I think. And you're just grasping at straws. Well, I can't be involved in anything that's so vanity ridden. Welcome to the beauty industry, bro. They're trying to sell you cosmetics. Of course it's going to be about looks, because you would not buy the cosmetics if you did not care about looks. It's like, it's just, I don't know. It's almost like you think everyone is thick when you've done this, if I'm being honest. I thought it was rude, because then there's another point at the very end of the statement where you're like, so go, enjoy the gurus, enjoy the circus. You're saying about the dramatic ones, the non-dramatic ones, and the ones who genuinely just love to show their makeup skills. Sadly, those channels get way less views for the reasons I have stated above. And that's why you didn't do a documentary on them. Because you could have. You could have used your platform to boost someone else's. But you chose not to. You chose to go for the big fish, the big kahuna, the guy who everyone knows, the one who everyone knows is related to drama, so that he could have some stories and he could dish you some dirt, he could spill you some tea. You went for that with both hands, so don't pretend like you didn't know what you were doing. You absolutely knew what you were doing. The beauty industry is massive, and for you to just pretend like, oh, you didn't know what you were getting yourself in for, and I feel so bad for these other creators. If you felt so bad for them, you would have shone a bit of light maybe their way. That's my opinion on that anyway. Another point that I got from all of this was that he clearly doesn't like James Charles. I mean, you can see that. I mean, he's free to dislike or like whoever he wants, that's fine, but the stuff that he was calling James out on in this particular post, that he was an egocentric, power-hungry guru who needed to be served a slice of humble pie the size of the Empire State Building. Does that sound like any other beauty guru that you've heard of? It sounds like someone I've heard of. It begins with a J and his last name ends with an R. It's just hilarious, the hypocrisy of him just dogpiling on who is someone who's much younger than him for something that his best friend does. But here's the thing, his best friend has made him a lot of money, and also them two are aging in the industry. So it's a case of, personally, I think him and Jeffree, because people say that Jeffree is jealous of James. Of course, we can all see that. That's blatant to see. He's amassed a much bigger following in a much smaller amount of time, and he does so without being quite so vile. Yes, he has his controversies, but if you look back, I mean, this week alone with Jeffree Star's MySpace days, oh my god, like, it's pretty insane, the stuff that he used to come out with and still comes out with, to be honest with you. At no point has he ever sort of cleaned up his image. He's not as wrathful as he used to be, but still, it's still out of order. I think Shane is just as jealous of James. I think absolutely. For him to say something like that about someone that he doesn't really know, I find quite disgraceful. And also one thing that came up this week as well, which I'm going to bring up now. So this was a statement made by Cassie MUA on YouTube. I find it quite the comedy that Shane regrets putting it in the the trailer more than anything in the world, which is something that he said, funny. He didn't seem to have morals when he privately spoke to them before blasting it for millions and millions of people to speculate when James kindly asked him not to post that trailer because it would reopen wounds that he was still trying to heal from. Oh yeah, I remember that. I was right there when he got the text from Shane saying he was still going to post it, and he did. She also followed it up with, I usually stay quiet on this topic, but facts are facts. So I find that quite in keeping with what I've been saying, which is I feel that he is very jealous of James Charles. I think him and Jeffree were in their little bitchy ivory tower, and they just felt like they could dig at James one more time after all of this came to pass, really, with Dramageddon 2. I just think it's a bit out of order, especially given the age that James is. It's not then someone else's job to bring you down through a series of horrible events in terms of accusations, and these are people who are significantly older, and all you have to think about is, would you be cool if someone in their mid to late 30s did that to you? Instead of taking you aside and speaking to you one-on-one and like really trying to impress upon you. Because if you were friends, you would be able to have that discussion, wouldn't you? But instead, this was all a point to be made that we're the big dogs, don't mess with us. We know how to basically wreck your image at will. That's the impression I get anyway, which I find disgusting. I do think Shane is fully jealous of him, absolutely. The last point I really wanted to make on all of this, because again, you can read this for yourself, it was just basically a cash grab, this whole exploration into the beauty industry. So the documentary series as in itself was an infomercial, really, to sell the merch, to sell the palette. It's not like he followed up with it. He said in the documentary series, yeah, I really want to get into this, I don't want to be seen as a fraud. I remember him saying these things, and he basically didn't follow up on any of that. He did a couple of videos with Jeffree, and he didn't do any looks for himself. He didn't do anything of that nature whatsoever. Everyone said it reeked of a cash grab, and he's proven us that it was a cash grab. And that's all I'm going to say on this particular post, because it's, like I say, it goes on and on and on, and I just don't even want to get into every single facet of it. I think it's, to use British parlance, bollocks. All of this is bollocks, and it's just covering his ass. Because also at the end of the day, Tati has been putting out these cryptic messages over the course of this week. Everyone was at buzzing that she was going to release a video that was going to be her follow-up to Dramageddon 2, and it was going to expose Shane, and it was going to expose Jeffree, and everyone was going to be exposed. And she hasn't released anything apart from a couple of lyric videos. And Shane Dawson, who hasn't been in this game with the rest of the beauty industry moguls as long, from what I feel, what I see here, I think he just cracked, and he wanted to wash his hands and be done with it. He wanted what he felt was his version to go out there, and he thought that people were going to believe him en masse. But here's the thing, his credit's not really that good anymore, and it hasn't been for quite some time. Well, one, he hasn't got the beauty industry on his side anymore, fact, and I think just a lot of people, in terms of what I'm going to be speaking about now, are not exactly happy with him for his past transgressions. So his credit is not the best at the moment. One thing that I always thought was a bit strange about Shane that I didn't really understand, and this is before he did the beauty documentary series, and it was his previous documentary series, so, you know, on Jake Paul and Tana Mojo and Graveyard Girl, was the fact that he seemed to be this arbitrator of labels for people. Jake Paul is this, that and the other, and Tana Mojo is, people just need to see her like this, and Graveyard Girl, you're just not relatable anymore, and maybe you should change that. It's just, I didn't really sit right with me, knowing that this is a guy who has done blackface more times, what was the saying? I like this quote, he's done more blackface than he has done looks, which I thought was hilarious. He's done more shady content, so sexualizing children, and this is all coming out on Twitter, and I'm not going to include this footage on this particular video because I'm not airing that stuff. I'm not putting that stuff on my channel, for Christ's sake. That's not what I'm about at all. And also just like a lot of racist content, and it's weird how everyone comes up with this excuse at the moment where, oh, it was a different time. Listen, right, Shane Dawson is not far from my age. It's not like this was all happening back in the 80s where, you know, there were teddy boys out on the street battering black people. Not that this was right at any time. This was like my lifetime. So I can tell you this for free, at no point has it ever been in my comedic Rolodex with my friends or anyone else to go, hey guys, should we do blackface? That would be really funny. And also, the fact that he, at no point did he think, if I'm putting this on the internet, will this be on here forever? Will this bite me in the bum at some point? Obviously, a lot of creators on YouTube who are from that era, they're going down now. We've realised that there's a lot of blackfacing, there's a lot of racist remarks, there's a lot of just strangeness in general, really. There's been some people who've been taken down as well who are, you know, obviously not as problematic, I would say. So like Jenna Marbles has come up. Now, I'll be honest, I never really watched her content, so just wasn't my area of YouTube growing up. I'm not broken up about it. I've watched a bit of her videos recently. But I would say that her particular apology is probably the first fully legit YouTuber apology that I've come across. Well, I didn't think, oh, what's the end game here? Because it's not like she wanted to go on and continue doing what she was doing. She just didn't want to hurt anyone, in her words, didn't want to hurt anyone, and she was basically shutting down the channel, at least for the time being. Everyone else is sort of, it's like, what are you selling, mate? But with Shane Dawson, I'll just be straight up about it. I don't feel bad for him. I don't feel bad. We're seeing a lot coming out at the moment where you're having victims of sexual abuse speaking up, and then you're having victims of racism speaking up. So having these kinds of demeaning videos popping up, it's not really something where we can't ignore it. That's the thing. We can't ignore these videos. It's not something where we can just go, oh, well, he was young, it was back in the day. Because again, these people aren't that old, man. I'm not going to take that whole, oh, well, it was a different time. It wasn't that long ago, bro. It wasn't that long ago. With Shane Dawson, this to me seems like someone who was seeing the ship sinking, because we're seeing a lot of people in relation to Dramageddon have things come back on them now. I think he saw the ship was sinking and he just wanted to get off as quickly as he could, and he made himself a life raft, and it wasn't really made together very soundly, and this is why it's being dissected so fervently by everyone else. But you tell me what you think. You write something down in the comments section. If you leave a like, that would be fantastic, and if you subscribe, well, that would just be banging. Stay safe out there.